The famous tune by Leoš Janáček, interpreted by our today's guest.
Welcome to the Faces of Czech Music, a Radio Prague International and Czech Center's podcast.
We want to remind you that 2024 is the year of Czech music. Our podcast will try to show you that the Czech music is not only Dvořák, Smetana or indeed Janáček, but much more. Let us introduce new names and new faces from different genres to you.
Faces of Czech Music is presented by Petr Dudek
and Amelia Mola-Schmidt.
Our Czech face today is pianist and composer Nikol Bóková. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
Do you feel better as a pianist or a composer?
If you would ask me that like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I would totally say I'm only the pianist because I'm the pianist. And now not only with every year, but with every day, composing take really more and more part in my life. So now it's like maybe 50-50, I don't know, both.
We knew that you became a pianist very early, and that's one of the reasons why we will listen to some more music now.
Okay, so who's that pianist and where can I buy her mixtape?
You got me with this. I haven't heard this for quite a long time, and now I'm thinking I played it like Karate Kid, you know? It's wonderful. Thank you for the surprise.
So anybody can go on YouTube and see this video recording of you. It's your first solo performance and you're accompanied by the Janáček Philharmonic Orchestra.
Yeah.
And in this video, you're so young and so small, but you look so confident and composed amongst the orchestra members like you've done this a million times. So you're a seasoned pro.
I felt like it. Surprisingly, it was very surprising because I think this exact performance was the change for me, big change, because before I wanted to be piano teacher. But I think it was mostly because I didn't know that there exists another occupation connected to piano playing. And then I was like, wow, I can be pianist, like concert pianist, so it changed a lot.
So that was the moment where everything kind of fell into place for you?
I think it's kind of...
How old were you then?
I was 9.
Good.
Wow. So what would you tell that little girl in that purple sequin dress about what was going to happen in your future career if you could look back now?
Oh, I would say just keep going as you did. I don't know. I think that little me would be really surprised, as she was surprised back then that she can be a concert pianist. She would be definitely surprised. She will be also a composer. So.
Do you remember being nervous, or was it just pure adrenaline in your little 9-year-old head at that time?
As a kid, I was okay, pretty much. I think my teacher was more nervous than me. Definitely, she was more nervous than me. So I was calming her down all the time. And then I remember the period when I was more nervous, because it was the time when I realized I really want to do this. Because when you are a kid, you are like doing this because, you know, it feels natural. And then when you realize, okay, this is the vocation, and then some changes came, but when you love what you do, these waves can be somehow overcome. I was in love with it, and that was it. So I think anything could happen along the way, but in my mind it was always the path I really want to go.
Did you have the support of your parents? Are you from a musical family?
I'm not actually. Only musicians in my family is me and my younger sister. She's now mostly musical manager, but she studied opera singing and she loves music.
We have mentioned jazz. When jazz entered your life?
It was when I was studying academy, but actually I can't play jazz. I'm categorized there because it makes sense, but I'm not jazzman in a historical sense of the meaning. I can consider myself as a jazz player in the way when you thinking about jazz as a freedom category with freedom possibilities, then I totally can be jazzman.
Do you have a jazz record in particular that was very foundational or inspiring for you? Or it could be another record, maybe it's something more on the classical side that was really foundational for you.
I would mention David Bowie. In jazz I would say Esbjörn Svensson, and in classical music I will say Ravel, for example.
Mm-hmm. You started with classical music and you played very well, if I may say so. Why did you start with jazz, or whatever you want to call it? Was it because Chopin or Beethoven or Ravel were not enough for you?
I admire them all a lot, but to be honest, I'm very picky. More and more I'm very picky what to play, because it's very subjective, but a lot of things, even though you admire them, they can feel like old because they are not created here in the present. But it's not they are not enough, but at the same time it's nicely put, because I felt that I need to create something what I want to hear and I couldn't find anywhere else.
Can you give an example of something you rather not play today? Not because it's bad, but because, for the reason you just explained.
Actually, we could say it about almost every composer, because I admire them as a whole, but very often there are just few pieces I consider like playing. So, for example, now I have this recital this year with a repertoire of Ferenc Liszt, and of course he was amazing, and you can admire him for so many things, but there are just like 4 compositions I really am eager to play, and if there wouldn't be for these exact compositions, I wouldn't tend to play them.
Do you feel a connection between your classical music upbringing and your free compositions?
The classical music gave me technique. I can comprehend the form, and I played so many pieces and so many music that it is part of me, a very significant part of me. So definitely it does.
We want to take your composition, Her Country, which premiered on New Year's Eve last year and symbolically opened the year of Czech music, what this podcast is pretty much all about. In any way, is it inspired by Smetana's My Country?
Yes, it totally is.
Spill the tea.
Yeah, it was the initial aspect of why it was created, because firstly I was asked last year to try to compose my own river, like my own take on Smetana's Vltava, which is the part of Moldova, which is the part of his country.
The cycle.
The cycle, yes. And then it had its premiere in Beaux-Arts in Brussels when Czech Republic was ending the Czech presidency in European Union, and it was very inspiring. So I was asked to compose a whole cycle. It was just studying title, Her Country, because when they were Radek Baborák, the conductor, when he was talking about the project, it was always like, okay, it's Her Country, and then I was, well, it's a title, it's gonna be it.
Do you think if Bedřich Smetana sat in the audience and listened to Her Country, he would applaud?
Well, I cannot be sure, because I hope so, but actually it is in my musical language, inspired on many levels by his music, but like symbolic. He was a symbolic inspiration in form and in names. Sometimes I also play with some of the music themes of his, but very gently. But I composed it for his celebrations and as kind of an honor to our country, which I feel like has a huge potential in itself, and it was a big pleasure for me to go this way.
But Smetana would probably recognize where your roots are, that they are, among other things, in his music. Is that right?
Not in all parts, but in first two parts definitely he would, but then I was inspired really freely.
Just about the name Her Country, is that in any way like maybe I'm reading too much into this, so forgive me if I am, but is that any way like a bit of a feminist take?
I must admit that of course it can be there for anyone who can read it and put it into this. I have no problem with its meaning, but for me it's mostly when I say her, I can feel like from the view of the audience, because then it's when they say her, it's mine. So it's a lovely connection between me and the audience.
This is the Faces of Czech Music, and our guest today is Nikol Bóková. Do you like working with an international team? We know that your album Expedition has some interesting features on it, but also a Norwegian trumpet player, Gunnar Halle. How did this collaboration come to be, and was it a success?
Actually, I will try to say this briefly, because it tends to be a very, I don't want to say complicated story, but I initially asked another trumpet player who unfortunately couldn't attend because of the war in Israel. So first I thought, because it was a few days before the release, so I was like, okay, so it's not gonna happen and it will be only a quartet. But then I realized that 2 months before I met with one Danish pianist. He's my friend, and we met him on our way to our wedding with my husband, because we went to get married to Faroe Islands, and on the way we visited our friend in Denmark, and we listened to records a whole night, and he was talking about the trumpet player he's playing with, and we liked it on his recordings, so I was thinking about asking him. And he was very, it was amazing work with him, because he was very fast. He in 2 days he had his own studio in Norway, so in a week we had these recordings by him, so it was and I liked them, so I'm pretty much happy it happened that way.
But it's not a problem for you to work with musicians from abroad?
Actually, this is first musician on my albums who is from abroad.
So, speaking of your husband in Faroe Islands, you are collaborators, but you're also married. He's a visual artist, you're a musician. How does this collaboration work, and what is it like working with your spouse?
We are working together for more than 10 years, and we are married for several months. He does many things. He's the biggest artist I have ever met, and it's very inspiring to have his by my side. And so we are collaborators, but we are partners, and we are essentially best friends. So it's really, I'm very lucky.
Do you talk shop at home?
Actually, my job is kind of our job, because we are like team in everything. And we do a lot of things, and Jan has his own work because he's also a user experience designer, and I'm of course a pianist and composer, but we work on pretty much everything together. So we don't tend to separate our live talks from the so-called job talks, because it's kind of one most of the time, like every time.
So I think it's pretty cool and quite interesting that you release your albums on vinyl. Are you a big collector of vinyl yourself?
Yeah, we have some collection. I wouldn't tell like we are big collectors. It's not like we would have thousands of vinyls at home, but we love to listen to vinyls and to reel tapes lately also, and to music, to everything. Yeah.
So why do you release on vinyl still? Because I mean, I think it's come
kind
back.
Of crazy.
Yeah, but it's come back in recent years. Like vinyl made a huge resurgence. At least where I'm from in Canada, 4 years ago, everybody was releasing on vinyl again. But I don't know if it's the same trend here. So why did you make the choice?
It brings us a lot of joy. So of course we are somehow on testing run, because we established our label, it's not even 2 years ago, but we love it, and it brings joy, and we will see if there are enough people to share it with, because it's also important, but we will take it. It needs a time, and we are pretty much brand new, so let's see.
We haven't mentioned one interesting thing about you. You are a musician and a composer, but you are also a documentary filmmaker. Tell us something about the fusion of these two activities.
Jan showed me this world, and when we started collaborating, as I said, 10 years ago, we started to make our master classes and music videos and lots of stuff. When COVID happened, we realized that in 3 years we made like 80 videos together or something like that. And now I'm sometimes taking some like small jobs to edit like music videos or just yesterday we filmed at our flat some music advertisement for a festival of our friends. I realized I'm pretty good at it. I don't know how that happens in editing actually. So Jan is cameraman, and he's a director, and we also, when we have some more spare time, we write like novels and scripts together. So our big dream is to make a movie one day. So I will compose the music and I will edit it, and we will write it together, and we'll just do it.
You've made documentaries on the Prague Junior Note, which is a competition that brings kids together who are pianists, violinists, flutists, cellists, guitarists. Why this topic? Does it have any specific significance for you?
Actually, Prague Junior Note is only for pianists. The competition for the pianist. I attended it by myself when I was like 11 or 12, and then my professor from academy, she became a director of the competition a few years ago, and she asked us about collaboration. And we realized that we would never get so close to such amount of emotions and such amount of joy and devotion of teachers, and also the devotion of the kids. And so we took it as an opportunity to be really close to something wonderful. And so we already made 3 and recorded fourth of them, and so now we are preparing the 4th episode of this, and I think it's that usual person who is like not from a musical family, or his kid doesn't play the piano, you normally don't see in such places. So it's a very nice opportunity to show people this world.
You also make films about making your musical albums. Why do you do it?
It's same kind of fun. You can peek into the process, and yeah.
Do you ever watch them once you have them? I mean, just
I watch them because I edit them, so I watch them like million of times, because you have to decide every cut and then you have to color grade it, and which Jan does, and you make a sound to it. There's many work around it, so I watch them many times.
I rather thought if you use them as an archive, if you, for example, need to remember what you did on that album and how, you would watch your own film.
Yes, actually we are trying to capture everything, and then sometimes we post some video from the studio in a small version, but our goal is to shoot anything we can, because, for example, when I will be like happily 100-year-old, then
or more
or more, we will just make a huge movie.
Or maybe a festival.
You mentioned it earlier, but I want to ask a bit more about your record label that you and Jan recently established. I'm going to practice my elementary school French here. Soleil et pluie.
Yeah, soleil.
C'est bon?
Yeah.
So why did you guys do this? And was it at all because you find it difficult to collaborate or work with other record labels and you wanted to go independent? What was the goal?
I will say just one word, and this is freedom. And maybe I will add that with a lot of complexity we knew what we want to do. So it was the way to go.
Do you want to go big with your record label? Or is it just for your private purposes?
It's both. It brings us joy, so we are really just enjoying what we do. But at the same time, of course, we have dreams to create for the whole world. So, yeah.
I read that you're inspired by Arthur C. Clarke and his science fiction novels. How does science fiction inspire your composition?
The first impulse was when my father met Jan. It was only once, because my father is no longer with us here, but they met once. My father visited us for 3 days, and we were talking about lots of stuff. And then I found out that Jan and my father had one topic in common, and it was sci-fi movies, and they talked about them like hours. And then when my father passed away, I was like, okay, now I need to see what these movies are about. So I started to watch them differently than before, because before science fiction was a kind of waste of time for me. I didn't understand why I could watch something like this or read. But then I started to watch it differently, and then I started to read books by Arthur C. Clarke. I've read like 20 of them already, and it really showed me many places I wouldn't have known about otherwise. So it's a really amazing world which offers so much to be inspired and to think of, and its immense complexity. It's amazing. Yeah.
Do you find inspiration in other authors or in other arts, in dance
definitely.
or painting or
yeah, mostly literature, music, and movies too.
Is poetry good for you in terms of inspiration?
I gave it a chance.
Yes, but
I started with Chinese poetry because I felt that it could be a good way. I love haiku, Japanese haiku. But very often I think you have to have special kind of mindset to appreciate poetry, and I'm not there yet.
Our guest today was Nikol Bóková. Nikol, thank you so much for coming in today.
So
it was a real delight to have you in.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Faces of Czech Music is a Radio Prague International and Czech Centers podcast.
Presented by Petr Dudek
and Amelia Mola-Schmidt.
Thank you and goodbye. And the music you heard sampled today was Nikol Bóková playing Janacek, the Madonna of Friedeck. Nikol Bóková with the Janacek Philharmonic Orchestra playing the first movement of Piano Concerto in B-flat major by Karl Ditters von Dittersdorf. You also heard Nikol Bóková playing Her Country, performed by Prague Chamber Soloists, conducted by Radek Baborák in Prague of December 2023.